Doctor rubbed her tired eyes and looked at the computer screen again. She had been working for 14 hours straight at the SETI array station on Europa. The station floated in the cold space above Jupiter's ice moon, listening for signals from other worlds. Most days brought nothing but empty noise from space. Was the head scientist at the station. She had spent 20 years of her life listening for alien voices. Her team of 12 other scientists shared the same dream. They wanted to find proof that humans were not alone in the universe. The station had 47 massive radio dishes pointed at different parts of the galaxy. Every day, they collected thousands of hours of radio signals from space. Most of it was just natural noise from stars and gas clouds. Sometimes they found signals from old human space probes or colonies, but they had never found anything from aliens. Was about to go to sleep when something caught her attention. Dr. James Park, the youngest member of her team, was staring at his screen with wide eyes. "You need to see this," James said. His voice was shaking a little. Walked over to James's workstation. On the screen, she saw a pattern of radio waves that looked different from anything she had seen before. The signal was strong and clear. It came in short bursts that repeated every few hours. "When did this start?" asked. 3 hours ago, James replied. "But look at this. The signal is not coming toward Earth. It's aimed at a star system 47 light-years away." Felt her heart beat faster. A signal that was not meant for Earth could only mean one thing. Someone else was out there, and they were trying to talk to someone. "Call the whole team," said, "right now." Within an hour, all 12 scientists were crowded around James's computer. Dr. Sarah, the team's computer expert, was already running the signal through their best analysis programs. "The signal is definitely artificial," Sarah said. "It uses mathematical patterns that could only come from intelligent beings, but the structure is completely alien to us." "What do you mean alien?" asked Dr. Martinez, the team's physics expert. "The signal uses prime numbers and mathematical constants as a base," Sarah explained. "But the way it puts them together is unlike any human thinking. It's like someone took our math and rebuilt it from a completely different point of view." Stared at the signal pattern on the screen. After 20 years of searching, they had finally found it. Proof that intelligent aliens existed. But the signal was not meant for humans. It was a message between aliens. "We have to decode it," said. The next 3 weeks were the hardest of life. The team worked day and night to understand the alien message. They used every computer on the station and borrowed processing power from Earth. They tried thousands of different ways to decode the signal. Sarah was the first to notice the breakthrough. "The signal repeats every 3 hours and 42 minutes, she said. "But each time it repeats, there are tiny differences. I think they're broadcasting the same message but in different mathematical languages." "Like they're trying to make sure someone understands," James added. Felt hope growing in her chest. If they're using multiple formats, we can compare them and find the common patterns. It took another week of constant work. Barely ate or slept. The other team members took turns resting but stayed at her computer. She felt like she was close to the greatest discovery in human history. Finally, on a Tuesday morning, the pieces fell into place. Stared at her screen as the computer showed her the decoded message. She read it once, then twice, then a third time. Her hands started to shake. "Everyone come here now," called out. The team gathered around her computer. His voice was barely a whisper as she read the decoded message aloud. "This is Sanctuary Fleet of the Republic. Our has fallen. The Devourers have consumed 7 of our colonies. We are the last. Our ships are failing. We seek the aid of the hegemony, as agreed in the Covenant of Stars. We have 847 vessels containing 2.3 million survivors. Our destination is 442b. We carry the genetic heritage of our species and our accumulated knowledge. If you receive this, We will arrive in your system in approximately 73 rotations. Please prepare sanctuary protocols. Please. We have nowhere else to go." The room fell completely silent. Could hear the hum of the station's computers and the distant sound of James breathing heavily. 2.3 million aliens are flying toward the star system, Sarah said slowly, and they think someone there will help them. But they don't know if anyone will receive their message, Dr. Martinez added. Looked at the signal data again. The aliens called themselves. They were refugees running from something called the Devourers. They had lost their and 7 colonies to these Devourers. Now they were flying through space in a fleet of almost 900 ships, hopping to find safety at a star system 47 light-years from Earth. "The message wasn't meant for us," James said. "They're calling for help from something called the hegemony in the system." Felt a cold fear in her stomach. The message had been traveling through space for years before reaching the SETI station. The aliens were probably already close to their destination, and they had no idea if anyone would be there to help them. "We have to find out more about this," said James. "Redirect telescope array 7 toward the system. Sarah, I want you to analyze everything we know about that star system. Martinez, start looking through our old signal records for anything about these Devourers or the hegemony." "What are you thinking?" Sarah asked. Looked at the decoded message one more time. 2.3 million aliens flying through space, carrying the last hope of their species. They were desperate enough to send a message into the void, hoping someone would hear them and care enough to help. "I'm thinking that if we were the ones flying through space, looking for help, we would want someone to listen to our call," said. She made a decision that would change everything. Was going to find out what was waiting for the at 442B, and if they were flying into danger, she was going to warn them. Even if the message was never meant for humans. Had not slept in 36 hours. Her team was pushing every telescope and sensor on Europa Station to its limits. They were all pointed toward the 442 star system, trying to see what waited for the refugees. Dr. James Park was the first to get results from the deep space telescopes. He called over to his workstation with a worried voice. "Look at this," James said. "I'm getting spectral analysis from 442B. Looked at the data on James's screen. The numbers made her feel sick to her stomach. "The planet's atmosphere is almost completely gone," said. "What's left behind? Strange metallic compounds that don't match anything in our databases," James replied. "It's like something stripped away the atmosphere and left behind artificial chemicals." Dr. Sarah joined them at James's computer. She had been analyzing electromagnetic signals from the system for the past 2 days. "I've been detecting massive artificial structures in orbit around the planet," Sarah said. "At first I thought they might be space stations or habitats, but the size readings don't make sense." "What do you mean?" asked. "Each structure is the size of a small asteroid," Sarah explained. "They're arranged in perfect geometric patterns around the dead planet, but they're not emitting any light, heat, or communication signals. They're just sitting there." Felt a cold chill run down her spine. "How many structures?" "At least 50, Sarah said. "Maybe more. They're hard to count because they seem to absorb most electromagnetic radiation." Dr. Martinez hurried over to their group. He had been going through decades of old signal records, looking for any mention of the Devourers or the hegemony. "I found something terrible," Martinez said. His face was pale. "Over the past 40 years, we've recorded dozens of fragmentary signals from different star systems. Most of them were too weak or damaged for us to decode properly." "What kind of signals?" asked. "Distress calls," Martinez said. "I went back and used our new decoding techniques on the old signals. They're from different civilizations, different species, but they all end the same way." Martinez showed them a list on his computer screen. Read through the translated fragments. Unknown vessels approaching, requesting immediate assistance. They don't respond to any communication. They're just taking everything. Our defense fleet is gone. They're consuming the orbital stations. This is our final transmission. They call themselves the Devourers. Sat down heavily in a nearby chair. The picture was becoming clear, and it was worse than she had feared. How many civilizations sent these signals? Asked. At least 23, Martinez replied. All of them from different star systems. All of them stopped transmitting suddenly. Some of the signals are over 50 years old. James pointed to his telescope data again. And now we're seeing what happened to 442b. Something destroyed the planet's atmosphere and left behind those massive dark ships. Stood up and walked to the main viewing window of the station. Europa hung below them, its icy surface reflecting the light of Jupiter. Somewhere out in the darkness, 2.3 million refugees were flying toward what they thought was safety. They don't know, said quietly. They think the hegemony is still alive and will help them, but the hegemony was probably destroyed like all the others. Sarah joined at the window. How long until the reach? Did the math in her head. According to their message, about 6 weeks, 73 rotations in their time system. What do we do? James asked. Turned to face her team. These 12 scientists had become the most important people in human history. They were the only ones who knew that 2.3 million aliens were about to fly into a trap. We have to warn Earth's government, Sarah said. Let them handle this. With what? Replied. Our fastest ships would take decades to reach the system. Even if Earth believed us and wanted to help, there's no way to get there in time. Dr. Martinez was studying the signal data again. There's another problem. According to the message, the Devourers have already consumed 7 colonies. That means they're spreading outward from wherever they started. If they keep expanding, they'll eventually reach human space, James added. Felt the weight of responsibility settling on her shoulders. The easy choice would be to report their findings to Earth and let someone else make the decisions. But Earth's government would spend months debating and forming committees. By then, they would be dead. There has to be something we can do, said. Sarah was typing rapidly on her computer. The message traveled 47 light-years to reach us, but according to the signal analysis, they're not 47 light-years away from us right now. What do you mean? Asked. The signal we received was sent years ago when they were much further away, Sarah explained. Based on the signal's strength and direction, I estimate they're currently about 12 light-years from 442b. Felt a spark of hope. So a radio signal from us would reach them in 12 years, but they'll be in 6 weeks. Right, Sarah said. It's impossible to warn them with normal radio. James was studying the technical data from the signal. He had been quiet for several minutes, but now he looked excited. Wait, James said. Look at the subspace harmonics in their signal. They're not using simple radio communication. Rushed over to look at James's analysis. The data showed complex quantum patterns woven through the basic radio signal. They have some kind of faster-than-light communication system, James continued. They must use it to coordinate their fleet during the journey. Sarah's eyes lit up with understanding. If we can figure out how to access their communication network, we could send them a warning directly through their own system. Finished. It was a crazy idea. They would be trying to hack into an alien communication network using technology they didn't fully understand. But it might be the only way to save 2.3 million lives. Looked around at her team. These scientists had dedicated their lives to finding aliens. Now they had found them, and those aliens were in terrible danger. How long would it take to analyze their communication system? Asked. With our current equipment, maybe 72 hours of constant work, Sarah replied. And if we can crack their system, we could send them a warning that would reach them instantly. Asked. If we're right about how their technology works, yes, James said. Made her decision. Then we're going to do it. We're going to save them. Dr. Martinez looked worried. If we use Europa Station's experimental quantum transmitter to hack into an alien network, we'll be violating about 50 different regulations. You could lose your position as station commander. Smiled grimly. Then I guess we better make sure it works. She was about to commit an act that could end her career, but she was also about to attempt the first interstellar rescue mission in human history. Because somewhere in the darkness between stars, 2.3 million refugees were counting on help that would never come. Unless humanity gave it to them. His team worked without stopping for the next 72 hours. They survived on coffee, energy bars, and pure determination. The Europa Station had never seen this level of activity. Every computer was running at maximum power, analyzing the communication system. Dr. Sarah was the key to everything. She had spent 15 years studying quantum communication theory, but she had never tried to hack into an alien network before. The system was unlike anything humans had ever seen. Their communication network uses quantum entanglement on a massive scale, Sarah explained too. Each ship in their fleet is connected to every other ship through paired particles. When one particle changes state, its partner changes instantly, no matter how far apart they are. Watched Sarah work. The young scientist had dark circles under her eyes, but her fingers moved across the keyboard with incredible speed. So if we can tap into their network, our message would reach them instantly, asked. In theory, yes, Sarah replied. But we have to be very careful. If we make a mistake, we could damage their entire communication system. 2.3 million refugees would lose contact with each other while flying through space. Dr. James Park was working on a different part of the problem. He was trying to create a message that they would understand and believe. We can't just tell them not to go to 442B, James said. They've been traveling for years. They have nowhere else to go. We need to give them an alternative. Looked at the star charts on James's screen. What systems are close enough for them to reach? There are 3 possible systems within their range, James replied. But we don't know if any of them have planets that could support life. Dr. Martinez was analyzing everything they knew about biology based on their message. They mentioned genetic heritage and accumulated knowledge. That suggests they're a biological species like us, not artificial intelligences. Their name, Republic, suggests they have some kind of democratic government, added. And they mentioned with colonies, so they're space-faring but not nomadic. Sarah suddenly looked up from her computer. I think I've found a way in. Hurried over to Sarah's workstation. The screen showed a complex diagram of quantum wave patterns. The fleet uses a master communication hub, Sarah explained. Probably on their flagship. If I can sync our quantum transmitter to match their hub's frequency, I can inject our message into their network. How confident are you that this will work? Asked. Sarah was quiet for a moment. Maybe 60%. There are too many unknown variables. Looked around at her team. They were exhausted, scared, and attempting something that had never been tried before. But they were also the only hope for 2.3 million alien refugees. Do it, said. Sarah began the delicate process of syncing Europa Station's experimental quantum transmitter with the network. The transmitter had been built for local communication within the solar system. Using it to reach across interstellar space was pushing it far beyond its design limits. While Sarah worked on the technical connection, helped James write the message they would send. It had to be clear, believable, and include enough proof to convince them that humans were real and trustworthy. The message they created was simple. Urgent warning, this is humanity from the Sol star system. We have received your distress signal meant for the hegemony. 442b is a trap. The planet is dead. Massive hostile vessels wait in orbit. The hegemony cannot help you. We have analyzed the destruction pattern. These are the same entities you call devourers. We want to help. Change course to alternate coordinates. We are sending assistance. Included mathematical proofs that showed humans had decoded the language. She also attached detailed sensor data about the system that only someone with advanced technology could have gathered. "Are you ready?" Sarah asked. Looked at the message one more time. If this worked, it would be humanity's first communication with an alien species. If it failed, 2.3 million beings would die. "Send it," said. Sarah activated the quantum transmitter. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the station's power systems fluctuated as the transmitter drew massive amounts of energy. Warning alarms began to sound as the device operated far beyond its safety limits. "Is it working?" asked. "The signal is transmitting," Sarah replied, "but I can't tell if it's reaching their network." They waited, felt like the longest minute of her life was passing in slow motion. Then Sarah's computer beeped. "We're getting a response," Sarah said with excitement. The response was brief, but it changed everything. Signal received. Identity confirmed through mathematical analysis. We understand your warning. How can beings so distant provide assistance? We are grateful but do not comprehend. Felt tears in her eyes. They had done it. They had successfully contacted an alien species and warned them about the trap waiting at 442b. But the question was valid. How could humanity possibly help beings who were 12 light-years away? Walked to the station's main communication console. She was about to do something that would either make her a hero or end her career. She activated the emergency beacon that would send a priority signal to Earth. "This is Doctor, Commander of Europa Station SETI Array," she said into the microphone. "I am declaring a Code 7 first contact emergency. We have confirmed intelligent alien life. 2.3 million alien refugees are in immediate danger. I am requesting immediate assistance from Earth Defense Fleet and the Unity Council." Paused, knowing that her next words would commit all of humanity to an impossible mission. "We need to mount an interstellar rescue operation. We need to save them." The response from Earth took 18 minutes to arrive, the time it took for signals to travel from Europa to Earth. When it came, it was from Admiral Santos, head of the Human Defense Fleet. "Doctor, this is Admiral Santos. Confirm that you are reporting actual contact with alien life forms." Replied immediately. "Confirmed, Admiral. We have established two-way communication with a species called They are refugees fleeing from hostile forces. They need our help." The next few hours were a blur of activity. Found herself on emergency video conferences with Earth's most important leaders. The Unity Council was in emergency session. Every major government was demanding more information. Some leaders wanted to ignore the alien crisis and focus on protecting Earth. Others saw it as humanity's chance to make alien allies. The debates were fierce and loud. But Admiral Santos cut through all the political arguments with military logic. "These devourers have destroyed multiple civilizations," the Admiral said during one conference. "They're expanding outward. Eventually, they'll reach human space. We can either face them now with alien allies or face them later when we're alone." Watched the debate with growing frustration. Every hour they spent arguing was an hour less to organize a rescue mission. Finally, stood up during one video conference and spoke directly to the Unity Council. "Leaders of Earth," she said, "right now, 2.3 million intelligent beings are flying through space, carrying the last hope of their species. They've lost 7 colonies. They're down to their last ships, and those ships are failing." Paused, looking at the faces of Earth's most powerful people. "They sent a message asking for help. That message wasn't meant for us, but we heard it anyway. And now we have a choice. We can spend more time debating while they die, or we can show the galaxy what humanity stands for. His words were broadcast across Earth. Within hours, the response was overwhelming. Millions of humans volunteered to help with the rescue mission. Construction companies offered to build ships. Pilots volunteered for dangerous missions to alien space. The Unity Council voted unanimously to approve Operation Sanctuary, humanity's first interstellar rescue mission. Sent another message to the "We are coming to help you. Humanity is sending ships and supplies. Change course to coordinates attached. Do not lose hope. You are not alone anymore." The response was simple. "We will wait for you, thank you." Looked out at the stars and smiled. Humanity was about to attempt the impossible. The response from humanity shocked even. Within 48 hours of Operation Sanctuary being approved, every major shipyard in the solar system had switched to emergency production. The massive asteroid mining ships that normally worked in the belt between Mars and Jupiter were being converted into refugee transport vessels. Found herself appointed as liaison for the operation. She had gone from being a radio astronomer on a remote research station to being humanity's first alien diplomat. The responsibility was overwhelming, but she had no time to be scared. Admiral Santos took command of the military aspects of the mission. She was a practical woman in her 50s who had spent her career preparing for possible alien contact. But even she had never imagined humanity's first alien encounter would be a rescue mission. "The problem is distance and time," Admiral Santos explained during a briefing at Earth's Orbital Command Center. "They are currently 15 light-years from Earth. Our fastest conventional ships would take decades to reach them." Studied the holographic display showing ship positions and travel times. "What about the experimental faster-than-light drive?" "The Prometheus project," Admiral Santos replied. "We have one prototype ship with an untested FTL drive. It successfully jumped a small probe 3 light-years in our last test, but we've never tried it with a crewed vessel." Dr. Sarah, who had been brought to Earth to help with the technical planning, looked worried. "The quantum mechanics involved are extremely dangerous. The crew might not survive the journey." Admiral Santos nodded grimly, "Which is why I'm asking for volunteers." The call for volunteers to crew the experimental FTL ship went out across all human colonies and Earth itself. Expected maybe a few hundred brave souls to step forward. Instead, over 2 million humans volunteered within the first day. They came from everywhere: military pilots and civilian captains, engineers and doctors, scientists and teachers. Even families with children volunteered to make the dangerous journey to help aliens they had never met. Read through some of the volunteer applications. A letter from Captain Maria Santos caught her attention. "My grandmother fled Earth during the resource wars. She always said that somewhere in space, someone helped her family when they had nowhere to go. I want to be that someone for the..." Another application was from Dr. Wei, a pediatric doctor. "These aliens have children on their ships, children who are scared and far from home. If I can help even one alien child feel safe, the risk is worth it." The selection process became about choosing the best team from an overwhelming number of willing heroes. Was amazed by humanity's response. People were literally volunteering to risk their lives for strangers from another world. While the crew selection continued, the construction effort reached incredible levels. The Generation ship New Horizons, which had been under construction in the Titan shipyards for 5 years, was completed in 3 weeks. Workers from across the solar system came to help finish it. The asteroid hauler Big Bertha was converted to carry massive amounts of food, water, and medical supplies. Its cargo holds could feed a small city for months. The mobile construction platforms Genesis and Builder were equipped with everything needed to build habitats in deep space. But the most important ship was the Prometheus itself. The experimental vessel was sleek and beautiful, but everyone knew it might become a tomb for its crew. The faster-than-light drive worked by folding space-time around the ship. If something went wrong, the crew might be scattered across different dimensions. Captain Sarah was chosen to command the Prometheus. She was one of humanity's best pilots, with experience flying everything from small scout ships to massive cargo haulers. More importantly, she had volunteered for the mission before anyone else. "Why are you willing to risk this?" asked Captain during the final mission briefing. "Because it's the right thing to do," Captain replied simply. "Someone is in trouble and we can help. That's enough." The human rescue fleet that finally assembled was unlike anything ever built. 23 ships in total, including military vessels, converted cargo haulers, and specialized rescue ships. The crews came from 18 different nations and 12 different space colonies. Was assigned to the flagship New Horizons. As they prepared for departure, she received one final message from the "Human friends, we have changed course as you requested. Our fleet is failing rapidly. Many ships are beyond repair. We do not know how much longer we can survive in space. Please hurry." The message hit hard. She realized that even with all of humanity's effort, they might still be too late. The Prometheus launched first, using its experimental FTL drive to reach the meeting coordinates ahead of the main fleet. The moment of the jump was broadcast live across Earth. Billions of humans watched as the sleek ship simply vanished in a flash of twisted light. For 3 days, there was no word from the Prometheus. Began to fear that humanity's first FTL ship had been destroyed during the jump. Then Captain's voice came through the quantum communication system. "This is the Prometheus. We have successfully arrived at the rendezvous coordinates. FTL jump was interesting. The crew is alive and the ship is mostly functional. We're seeing the fleet on long-range sensors. You need to prepare the rescue teams. These people are in worse shape than we thought." The rest of the human fleet traveled using conventional engines, pushed to their maximum speed. It took them 6 weeks to reach the meeting point, 15 light-years from Earth. Spent those weeks learning everything she could about culture and language. When the human fleet finally arrived at the rendezvous coordinates, got her first look at the beings they had come to save. The refugee fleet was heartbreaking to see. 847 ships of various sizes, many of them clearly dying. Some vessels had gaping holes in their hulls, sealed with what looked like metallic patches. Others were connected to each other by cables and tubes, sharing power and life support between ships. Stood on the bridge of the New Horizons as they approached the alien fleet. Admiral Santos was handling the military coordination, but was responsible for first contact with an alien species. "Open a communication channel," ordered. The main screen showed the interior of what was obviously an alien ship. Found herself face-to-face with Fleet Commander, leader of the refugees. Was unlike anything had imagined. The alien was tall and graceful, with skin that seemed to shimmer between blue and green. Her large eyes were filled with exhaustion and hope. She moved with the fluid grace of someone who had evolved in water. "Humans of Earth," said in accented but clear English, "you have traveled across the galaxy to help strangers. Why?" Had prepared for this question, but when the moment came, she found herself speaking from the heart. "Because we heard you calling for help," said. "Because no one should have to face extinction alone. Because helping others is what makes us human." Was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke again, could hear tears in her voice. "For 17 years, my people have been running through the darkness. We have watched our ships fail one by one. We have buried our dead in the cold of space. We began to believe that the universe was empty of kindness." Paused, looking directly at through the communication link. "You have proven us wrong. Today we learned that humanity exists, and humanity came to save us." Felt tears on her own cheeks. "We're going to get you to safety, all of you." Over the next few hours, human and engineers worked together to assess the refugee fleet's condition. It was worse than anyone had hoped. Many ships were beyond repair. Life support was failing on dozens of vessels. They estimated they had maybe 2 weeks before the fleet suffered catastrophic failures. But humanity had not traveled across the galaxy to fail. Captain coordinated the rescue efforts with her usual efficiency. "We transfer the most critical cases to our ships immediately," she ordered. "Genesis and Builder start construction on emergency habitats. Big Bertha begins distributing food and medical supplies. Everyone else starts helping them repair what can be fixed." Watched humans and working side by side, sharing tools and knowledge despite never having met before. The language barrier meant nothing when lives were at stake. Dr. Wei, the pediatric doctor who had volunteered for the mission, was working with Young on one of the refugee ships. Watched through the communication link as human and alien children played together while their parents worked to save the fleet. Captain said, "Where are we taking them?" Captain smiled, "To their new home." The combined human fleet spent 6 weeks traveling to a star system 30 light-years from Earth. Had never seen cooperation like this before. Humans and worked together as if they had known each other for years instead of days. The destination was a system that Earth's survey teams had marked as promising but unsuitable for human colonization. The main planet had too much water and not enough land for human needs. But for the who had evolved on a world of vast archipelagos, it was perfect. Stood beside Fleet Commander on the bridge of the New Horizons as they entered orbit around the new world. The planet was beautiful, with deep blue oceans and scattered continents covered in green vegetation. "Your people chose this world for us?" asked. "Our surveys showed it could support life," replied. "The oceans are clean, the atmosphere is breathable, there are no dangerous predators or diseases that would affect your species." Watched her new turn slowly below them. "What do you call this place?" Smiled, "We thought you should name it. It's your home now." "Rest," the alien commander said softly. "We will call it Rest." The process of settling 2.3 million refugees on a new planet was enormous. Human construction teams worked alongside engineers to build cities on the scattered islands. The mobile construction platforms Genesis and Builder proved invaluable, creating habitats faster than anyone had thought possible. Found herself living in the first mixed human settlement on the planet's largest continent. The buildings were a fascinating blend of human and architecture. Human structures were designed for land-based life, while buildings included extensive water features and pools. Dr. Wei established the planet's first hospital, where human and doctors worked together to treat both species. Often visited the pediatric wing, where human and alien children played together in the shallow pools that youngsters needed for proper development. The cultural exchange was amazing. Were natural artists and engineers. Their cities on their lost had been marvels of beauty and function. They shared techniques for building in harmony with ocean environments that revolutionized human architecture. In return, humans shared their knowledge of agriculture, energy production, and space travel. They had been spacefaring for centuries, but their technology had developed along different paths than human science. The most valuable exchange was in faster-than-light technology. Quantum communication systems were far more advanced than anything humans had developed. When combined with human FTL drive technology, they created ships that could travel faster and communicate instantly across galactic distances. Captain Sarah led the first joint human expedition to test the new hybrid technology. The improved FTL drive could cross 20 light-years in hours instead of weeks. "This changes everything," Captain reported too. "With this technology, we can reach anywhere in this part of the galaxy quickly." Knew what that meant. If other civilizations were in danger, humanity and the could help them. 3 years after the rescue, stood as the first human ambassador to the Republic. The title was mostly ceremonial, since humans and had become partners rather than separate species dealing with each other. Had been elected as the first president of the new government on Srest. During the election celebration, she found walking along one of the planet's beautiful beaches. Said, joining her human friend at the water's edge, "I have been thinking about something you said during our first meeting." "What was that?" asked. "You said that helping others is what makes you human," replied. "But I think it is more than that. Helping others is what makes intelligent life valuable in the universe." Watched children playing in the surf while human children built nearby. "I think you're right." The devourers consume everything they encounter, continued. They see other life as resources to be harvested, but humans and create something better when we work together. Nodded. The combined technology and knowledge of both species had already produced amazing advances. They had developed new medicines, more efficient energy systems, and communication networks that could span galaxies. 5 years after the rescue, received a promotion that changed her life again. She became the Director of Relations for the Human Alliance. Her job was to listen to the galaxy and help any species that needed assistance. The listening post on Srest was far more advanced than the old SETI station on Europa. It used hybrid human technology to monitor communications across hundreds of light years. Its team included both humans and, working together to find other species who might need help. They had already responded to 3 other distress calls. Each mission was successful, and each rescued species added their own knowledge and abilities to the growing alliance. Was reviewing reports from the latest rescue mission when her communication officer, a young named, called her over to his station. "Director," said, "I'm receiving a new distress signal." Hurried to look at the data on screen. The signal was strong but coming from very far away, 73 light-years from Srest. "Can you decode it?" asked. Worked for several minutes, running the signal through their advanced translation programs. "It's from a species calling themselves the Crystalline Collective. They're under attack by something they describe as the Hunger." Felt a familiar chill. The Devourers had many names, but they always represented the same thing: intelligent life that consumed everything in its path. "How many beings are asking for help?" asked. "Approximately 4 million, replied. "They're trapped on there. Their entire fleet was destroyed trying to fight the attackers." Looked at the communication data. The signal wasn't directed toward human or space. Like the original message, it was aimed at someone else who probably couldn't help. Said, "Send a response to the Crystalline Collective. Tell them that help is coming." "What should I tell them about who we are?" asked. Smiled. "Tell them we're the species who answer calls for help, even when those calls weren't meant for us." Within an hour, was in a planning meeting with President and Admiral Santos, who had become the military commander for the Alliance. The rescue fleet they were planning would be the largest yet, 60 ships with combined human crews. "The Devourers are still out there," Admiral Santos said during the briefing. "Every species we save makes the Alliance stronger, but it also makes us a bigger target." "Then we better make sure we're strong enough to protect everyone," replied. 2 days later, stood on the bridge of the flagship Alliance as the rescue fleet prepared to depart for the Crystalline Collectives. Through the viewports, she could see the mixed crews of humans and preparing their ships for the long journey. Captain, now commanding the Alliance's fastest ship, opened a communication channel to the fleet. "All ships, this is Captain," she announced. 73 light-years from here, 4 million intelligent beings are waiting for help that they think will never come. They're wrong. Today, we show the galaxy once again that no species has to face extinction alone." Felt the familiar surge of pride in her species and their allies. Humans had gone from being alone in the universe to being part of an alliance that spanned dozens of star systems and multiple species. The fleet jumped to faster-than-light speed, disappearing into the quantum foam that connected distant stars, knew they would succeed, just as they had succeeded every time before. As she watched the stars stretch into lines during the FTL jump, thought about the message that had started everything. A desperate call for help from a dying species, aimed at beings who couldn't respond. But humans had heard it anyway, and that had made all the difference. In the depths of space, other species were calling for help. Their messages weren't meant for humanity or the Alliance. And her people were listening. And they would answer, just as they always did. Because that's what intelligent life did for each other. It listened, it cared, and it came to help no matter how far the journey or how great the risk. The Alliance fleet raced through the darkness between stars, carrying hope to beings who had lost everything. Behind them, on rest, human and children played together in the surf, learning from each other and growing up in a galaxy where no one had to face extinction alone. Smiled as she watched the stars rush past. Somewhere ahead, 4 million crystalline collective beings were about to discover that the universe wasn't as empty as they thought. The message was never for them, but humanity heard it anyway. And that would always be enough.